lots of really good videos on how to tie Tenkara flies. And I thought, you know, I don't do it a lot. I'm more a fly tyer than a fly fisher. But I enjoy tying Tenkara flies. I like the cultural attachment, you know, this is Japanese rather than Western. It's kind of cool. Yeah. But I thought, let's do something that will be useful for us with a Western rig. And you could use it on a Tenkara fly also. That's why I went to this silly little egg hook. I thought, let's tie a spider. We'll use Tenkara technique as far as the building of the fly. We'll use the same techniques, we'll just use slightly different proportions. A spider has nice, big spider legs and a very short little abdomen, hence the egg hook. Some guys will tie these Tenkara flies on straight hooks. I generally tie them on scud hooks. But it's, you know, just whatever floats the boat for you. You're going to notice when you put that in the vise that there's a little tang on the shank of the hook. We're going to use that. That'll just work out nicely for us. Oh, by the way, when you're tying these things, here's a starling skin. Here's a grouse skin. We're using grouse feathers today because they're slightly larger. But on some of those smaller ones, starling skin works well. It has to be a light feather. I've used CDC, but it's a little too webby for most of your stuff. Although you're going to want to use a nice thin head cement. Again, apologies to Gene, but there's a reason for it. We're going to make a fairly thick tapered body out of thread. Mm-hmm. And my skills are such that, you know, sometimes it wants the wraps want to slide over. But you put a little head cement in there and you can wrap at any angle you want and just not have a problem. Anyway, let's start this right here behind the eye, but you don't give it much. Go to that tang. You see that there in the hook? And then what we're going to do at that point is just wrap over it a few, back, slightly ahead of that tang, just ahead of it. What I'm doing is I'm leaving the space in between the tang and the head of the hook pretty much, well, you want it thin, just one layer of thread as much as possible. So you're building up a taper toward the back. You go back a ways and then forward toward the eye. Back a ways a little farther, forward toward the eye. Continue that.
So you want to thin at the top eye and then thicker back on the back up the
end. And then you want it, yeah, eventually to taper down where it's a pointed.
No, I'm not. I'm just watching him.
Okay. I'm going to give it just a little bit.
You need a hook. He needs another bag. He needs another bag.
Anyway.
So
you're just tapering it in.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to thicken that tang.
Yeah.
Thick here, thin here, so it'll be fat, thin. So it'll be like one layer back here, about 9 layers up at the tang.
Okay.
That's it. You just want to give it a nice, juicy spider body. I'm figuring, you know, you drift this underneath overhanging bushes, or maybe through an undercut part of the bank where spiders might fall in. And some trout will be most appreciative. Anyway, you can see how I'm just slowly advancing back and then going back toward that tang, back again toward the bend of the hook, back again to the tang, and so it's nice and thick and juicy looking to a trout in the middle of the abdomen, and tapering down toward the bottom. Now
How thick do you do it? Just
oh,
till
well,
it gets nice and bulky?
till it's nice and bulky. Some guys, you'll see this in the videos, and there are a lot of excellent videos there on Tenkara flies. Some guys will whip finish at the very bottom, the end of your wrap toward the bend of the hook. Most guys do it kind of as I am doing it here. But heck, there's a guy named Johnny Utah. He uses a straight-eyed hook, puts it in backwards in his vise, ties the fly backwards, and actually builds up that. You know, he has the thin portion of thread right behind the eye. That's actually covered by the vise, so you just don't have a problem there. But
Right.
you know, have a hard time getting in.
I don't want to go all the way up to the eye. I want it.
No, use that tang as a
Yeah.
reference point.
Yeah, I blew it. I got it all the way up to the eye.
Now the reason you want that bare spot there is you don't want to start your reverse hackle right against that eye. Don't crowd the eye, because it'll make it more difficult when you're attaching your tippet, tying it on to this fly later on. Now here's something you were talking about, of course, bearing the stem, and that's what you want to do with this. Nobody try to, or let's make everybody try not to sneeze, because whereas oftentimes we get rid of this fluff, this makes really nice dubbing, and we'll use it on this fly. You can use just any old dubbing, but I think it's kind of a nice touch to do that. You won't need all of it, just some there. So if you have some of this come off with a bit of the stem, discard that. But what you're going to want to do is, I'll show you here, take a fair amount of this feather off. I'm going to take even more than that. Just strip it away. There we go. So we end up like that. You'll find that these soft feathers that work really nicely for a wet fly, soft hackle, that sort of thing, do this really well. The hen feather was pretty good too. When you stroke this back, it really makes a nice V and gets out of your way.
Yeah, how are you doing, kiddo?
Okay.
Okay, Chuck, where you at here, buddy?
I think I got it this time. That I brought it back
Perfect.
and I unwrapped up some of it.
There we go. We just
Yeah, right. That's why I unwrapped.
capture that baby. Put it on. And we're fairly close to the eye of the hook when you capture it, because you're going to wrap it backward on the hook. I've got just the slightest bit of a fighter here. So as you're wrapping on that feather, wrap back toward that tang, not quite all the way to it, but where the thread starts to thicken up on the body.
Ken,
Yeah.
good. You just wait. You
Gotta put edge in it on this, or
Pardon? Actually, it's built up here, and it's one layer here.
you know what you told me, told.
I'm going to use these hackle pliers. You can use your fingers, but I'm just going to do this so that
Watch him, Chuck.
as soon as I get out of the way of the camera.
Ooh, that's a hairy one.
There we go.
That's not his chin, that's his hand.
There we go. And just wrap this toward the back. Don't want to pull too hard because these aren't the strongest, but they're not like handling hurl and other things that are just really tender. Stroke it forward if you need to until you get to the end of that usable hackle. You've just got stem, and then capture it. And that gives you a short little abdomen, like a spider has, with nice long spidey legs. And as I said, when this thing goes up and down, it's just below the surface layer, surface film of the water. When it goes up and down like this, those legs are working. They have videos of that too, showing you, and they refer to that as the invitation. And it just is a neat thing.
Wrap back towards the bend of the hook, Chuck.
Yeah.
Hang on, Chuck.
Okay.
And at this point, you got those nice guys. I kind of stroke them forward.
Hang on.
A little bit of this
I'll use it.
feather. And remember, George taught us this one. Go clockwise. I used to wrap this on counterclockwise.
Okay, now I'm gonna go clockwise on this.
No.
You just wrap that around.
Yeah.
Your head, Ken. Chuck, for you, just wrap this. You're gonna wrap it going back towards your thread.
Okay.
Ready?
Oh, all
Hang
right.
on. You want all the fibers not to be caught in the back. You want all the fibers.
So you got some
Oh,
dubbing on there. In fact, I have a little more than I need. I'll just take some off.
Some dubbing?
Yeah. Remember that bit of feather the fluff that you kept?
Cut that off.
Wrap that on clockwise on your thread
Just a step.
so that each succeeding wrap tightens the dubbing a little bit.
There you go. Now what you're gonna do.
Gonna wrap that just behind the hackle.
So you're just gonna make a light thorax.
Just a slight little one. Because spiders are fuzzy.
For cleanup.
Right?
Okay, so now you're dubbed.
There you
Now
go.
Chuck, Chuck, what do? Tie it off?
Yeah, you're gonna tie it off.
Yeah.
Okay, tie it off, Chuck.
Maybe put a little.
Wood finish or half inch, whichever works. By the way, Ken, in America, the style is referred to as spider
Yeah.
style. The
Yeah.
hackling is called spider. Spider.
Seems like a good method for small hooks, you know, because I have difficulty on those little hooks, but it seemed to work pretty good on this one.
If you're looking to have a fly with fibers that pulsate a lot, this is a great way because in the water will force those fibers back.
Sure. That's why I thought, let's tie a spider rather than a stock Tenkara, that we can use.
But the Tenkara pretty much works the same way.
Oh, sure, it's the
Except
same
for-
thing. But with this short a shank, you're automatically making a spider.
Yeah.
So some guys will tie a spider. If you look for images and you Google it for spider fly pattern, you'll see some guys using a longer shank, but just tying a little bit of thread on there. Just doesn't seem to make it for me. I'm thinking, keep the shanks short too. But anyway, there's your spider fly.
Very nice.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
Like I said, drift that underneath an overhanging bush and see what happens.